Are we ready?
Sergio's not here.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the 77th Monrovia City Council this Tuesday, Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras, March 4th, 2025. So I'm calling this meeting to order at 7:33 p.m. And we are going to start off with our invocation by Police Chaplain Steve Campadonico. I'm a horrible Italian. So, Pastor Steve. Followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Tamala Kelly. Pastor. No.
Good evening, everybody. Why don't you join me as we pray for our evening? God, we thank you for this time together. We thank you for all the people who are able to come, for all the leaders who are here, for the community of Monrovia, for all the things that will be discussed and decided upon. We pray for a sense of unity, a sense of oneness. We continue to pray for the city and for the community, for peace, for direction, for vision for the future. May you continue to bring your hand of protection and blessing upon everyone here and in the community, as well as our state and our nation. God, guide us through the peaks and guide us through the valleys, helping us to be led by your strength and motivated by your love, and be a voice to hope to those who need it. So please help us to accomplish a bit of that tonight. We pray this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand. Right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I'll just Okay, can we please have the roll call?
Council members Belden,
Here.
Jimenez, Spicer,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Kelly, and Mayor Shevlin.
Here. We do not have a report of closed session. We had none, but we did have a great study session prior to the city council meeting on inclusionary housing. So again, I want to thank staff for the very good presentation on that item. And moving on for our presentations and proclamations, PR1 proclaiming March 25th as Women's History Month, and I have Barbara Golar and a few other. Are you bringing up a team with you? Come on down. And so I'm going to read the proclamation for you, and then we can come down and get a picture. But you can. I know you've got some words that you want to share with us this evening. Whereas women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of our nation and our community in countless ways, and whereas women have played a unique role throughout the history of the nation by providing the majority of the volunteer labor force, and were particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions, and whereas women have served our country courageously in the military, and whereas women have been leaders not only in securing their own rights of suffrage, equal opportunity, and representation, but also in the abolitionist movement, the emancipation movement, the industrial labor movement, the civil rights movement, the peace movements which create a more fair and just society for all, and whereas, despite these contributions, the role of women in history has been consistently overlooked and undervalued in the literature, leadership, teaching, and study of history, and it is therefore fitting that we recognize their numerous accomplishments. Now, therefore, I, Becky Shevlin, Mayor of the City of Monrovia, California, along with the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2025 as Women's History Month, dated this 4th day of March, 2025. Yeah. So Barbara, go, I know you have something to share with us.
Yes, I do. First of all, what I like to say, actually, I want to thank Councilmember Larry Spicer for, we just did with Global Citizen USA, they had some extra things left over and still wanted to celebrate Black History Month. So we had some dolls, so we were able to, anyway, I wasn't thinking, so was able to give out, I think it was 52 dolls to Canyon Learning Center.
Oh, great.
So, and then we'll be giving out more things through them in the coming weeks.
Great.
So, thank you for that.
You're welcome, Barbara.
And I'm really excited. This is actually our third year in celebrating Women's History Month, and that will be on Sunday, March 23rd, at Duarte Historical Museum. And we have a wonderful panel of 3 women, Keisha Darden, Brenda Trainer, and Rena Delgado. And the theme is moving forward together. So we're really excited, just like the accomplishments that the mayor read out of what women have done. So we will be sharing that. And so we're looking forward. I hope you can come out to join us. Thank you.
Great. And we'll come down and I'll
All
bring the
right.
proclamation. We can take a photo.
Okay.
Okay. All righty. Then, moving on, we don't have a student government representative report this evening. Do we have any changes at all to our order of business? I don't believe so. Not seeing any. Then we will move on to our consent calendar, which are items CC1 through CC6. They are considered all routine in nature and can be enacted in one motion. Is there anything anyone needs or wants to pull? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, then without further discussion, then our objection, we so approve. All right, moving on then to public input, and this is the time that we thank you for participating in our meeting this evening, and we welcome your comments. At this time, we will take comments for items not on our agenda. For any other item, you can still present a speaker card, and that would be heard at the time of the item. But for right now, this is for items not on our agenda, and we invite you to share your views on city business, and comments should be presented within a 3-minute time frame. And I do believe we have some speaker cards.
We do, beginning with Eon Motkin.
Hello?
I was so pleased, I have to tell you, that both today and in the earlier meeting, long last, after countless years of waiting and praying, they finally are bringing up the issue of affordable housing. And I am delighted and also would like to volunteer because I have a lot of personal experience, given the fact that I'm currently living in affordable housing. It's called tax credit housing. And I have a long, long list of do's and don'ts, meaning, the kind of nasty part of what I've had to live through, including black mold in my apartment and the uncooperativeness, unfortunately, of some companies like Abode, even though, like you were saying, you're trying to attract companies willing to build and/or adapt. And it seems like the building that I live in at 105 East Olive Avenue was essentially a building that started out, it's a 100-year-old building. Started out, I was told, as a church, who knows way back when. And then around the 1970s, and possibly earlier, it was basically adapted for apartments. It wasn't, and it moved from building to build, from owner to owner, apparently. But apparently, they also didn't consider the fact that there might be termites. Hello, this is a big problem with older buildings, termites, which basically caused damage to the roof. Then, of course, once the damage was caused, the rains came, and so the black mold. And I know that black mold has been festering for more than 10 years, just since I've moved in within the last 3. I know this because the person who lived in the apartment number 9 that I am currently living in died. Also, the person who lived next door to me in Unit 7 died. Now, my concern is that what role did the black mold play? Because I myself got incredibly sick for the past, couple of years since they found the black mold at the end of January of 2023. I moved in April 20th of 2021. So in other words, from the minute I moved in, I was exposed unknowingly to black mold. So this is extremely important to bring to the council's attention because it is critical that these buildings be inspected. Obviously, the building I was in was never inspected properly. And then on top of it, over time, it was never inspected. And part of the problem with working with certain companies like Abode, A-B-O-D-E, and I will get that information to you, okay? Like I said, it's interesting that one of the residents in that building in Unit 1, a man named Tommy, was actually working for a company that was doing part of the demolition and, throwing away of some of the old parts. What they did is apparently, as a church, they had certain rooms, and I don't want to go into too many details, but the point is that when they were retrofitting it as an apartment building, so, they had to do a lot of kind of changing, but they never, apparently, took into consideration the roof needs to be replaced. This needs to be really importantly.
And I understand you
Yes.
have a long list of things that probably or could be wrong with the building.
Definitely.
I'm going to suggest,
Yes.
Because we're past 3 minutes.
Oh, we're
now.
already past?
That's okay.
Okay.
That's okay. We do have, and I'm going to ask maybe our neighborhood services
Yes, please.
staff member, Jocelyn Blakely.
Thank you.
Back in and if you could go out in the lobby there. And
We already have an appointment,
Okay, great, wonderful.
or we will have an appointment.
Wonderful, wonderful. And thank you for your comments this evening.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to contribute.
Thank you.
Chris Los.
Hi, Chris.
Stephanie,
Hi,
you're back
Stephanie.
again, huh?
How's everybody doing? Y'all good?
Good.
Happy Mardi Gras. I like
Yeah.
your scarf, Councilmember Jimenez. I see the green and purple in there. My name is Chris Los. I brought Stephanie up with me because I get scared at this podium. But I just wanted to invite everyone out to our house party at the park. It is coming up March 16th, so not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. Thank you to Mayor Shevlin, Councilmember Spicer, Dr. Kelly. Y'all were all out there last year. Got to get a little bit of it, so we're going to do it again this year. And also wanted to share, because we tallied up the votes. So in the Facebook groups, for everybody out here that's in these Facebook, living spaces, we asked for nominations. Stephanie, you want to jump in, or you want me to take it?
You're in a row.
Okay, I'm on a roll. All right, cool. So the nominations, we appreciated it because it made it easy for us to know who to pick because of how loud these names stood out in the community. So the awards for this year and the people that we'll be honoring with the Corey Blunt Local Legend Award, that's going to go to Michael Waters, who has Phase One Sports in Las Vegas. and has done great things, played football here in Monrovia. The Miss Thai Youth Advocacy Award going to Anthony Kraft. Lois Gaston Game Changer Award going to Lonnie Berry. Ralph Walker Community Leader Award going to Rosemary Gavidia. The Montgomery Family Example of Excellence Award. This one was wild because we had a tie last year, and it was the easy tie again this year. And that is going to be Sheila Spicer Batiste, who is coincidentally here right now, and Dylan Feek, our city manager, who is also here right now.
Count the ballot.
Yeah, great people. So we got a lot of cool people here. It was just cool to like go through this and see it. Hometown Hero Award going to Richard Mack. Our local favorite award, JB's, and our People's Champ Award, Jacqueline Garcia. So those are a few of the people we'll be honoring on the 16th. Would love for y'all to be there. And it is noon to 5 on Sunday the 16th.
Great, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Karen DeClue.
Hi, Karen.
Hi. Good evening, Mr. Feek, Mayor Shevlin, City Council members. Nice to see you all again. I am here this evening again to encourage you to make aquatics programming a priority for our city. Since 2021, when our school district and city partnership ended, our city has had a gaping deficiency in aquatics programming. We have failed to offer affordable swimming lessons, lap swim, or summer recreation swim. Last week, I saw the Monrovia Today quarterly magazine, and I perused through all the classes we could take here at Monrovia, and I love that at a community level, for a low time commitment and a low financial commitment, I can learn something new, like two-step country dancing, or kickboxing, or electric guitar. We have ballet and pottery for kids, or weekly walkers for seniors. You know where I'm going with this. We have a deficiency there that was quite apparent. We have no courses available for water aerobics, lap swim, adaptive water skills, aqua exercise, youth swimming lessons, lifeguard certification courses, or junior lifeguard camps. There are no special events like dive-in movies where kids watch Jaws on pool floaties on a Friday night, or Splish Splash Saturday nights at the pool, or summer Sundays at the pool. Those are all real classes and events offered by some of our surrounding cities. And I see these things and I sit there and wonder why Monrovia can't have nice things with aquatics. We have other nice things. I look at our town and I'm stumped, honestly, because we are a nice city. People want to live here. Just look at the property values. I mean, we are a hot city, and we live in an area where 19% of single-family homes have pools. We should be offering aquatic safety and community water sports to our residents. I know that this is on your mind. Thank you for that. And I know that if our new aquatic center is going to be built on MUSD property, we have to wait for them to come up with a plan. I'm on it. I'm working on that too. I mean, they're working on it. I'm encouraging. I'd like to encourage you to be part of that planning. Reach out to those lines of communication that I know you have. The plan and design of the new aquatic center could have real implications for community use. For example, will there be a separate access point that the city can staff and manage? Will there be family changing rooms or just high school lockers? Will there be community day lockers? Will there be parking, right? All of these questions are best addressed now while the design and plan are in their infancy. I encourage you to work with our school district as soon as possible and eventually dedicate some Measure K funding to building this aquatic center. Like I said last time, I want my kids to go to a high school with a decent aquatic center, but more than anything, I want a decent aquatic center for Monrovians in my community. I hope you'll be encouraged by some of our perspectives tonight of what that can exactly do for our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mallory Socha.
Hello, good evening. I'm not as bold as Karen. My name's Mallory. I'm born and raised here in Monrovia. I came this evening to try and encourage you all to consider getting the Monrovia High School pool in working order. and to come up with a plan for the new aquatic center. The pool that's currently out of commission was where I spent most of my best, sorry, I'm going to get emotional, childhood years. I started swim lessons at Monrovia Pool in 1987. Look how cute I was. When I was barely taller than the kickboards. I couldn't wait to join my older brother in the swim team. I ran out to the pool deck each day. My lessons occurred. Soon, I was able to join Monrovia Aquatics Club, initially needing help getting on the starting blocks because I was too little. But quickly I grew and discovered my love for the stroke of butterfly and all things swimming. My family used the Monrovia Pool during summers where we would ride our bike to MHS, pay a small fee, and enjoy the pool with our community during free swim. I continued competitive swimming through my years and enjoyed the pool. My eyes are really watering. I continued competitive swimming through the years at Mayflower, Clifton, and naturally I joined Monrovia High Swim and water polo teams. I played water polo, thank you, for the guys team when we didn't have the girls team yet. In my senior year. I loved the Monrovia High School pool, the overflow gutter system, the speed that pool had, the years of the core memories I gained, the proud teams I competed on, the coaches that taught me life lessons, the friends and families that supported me, and the availability for our entire community to enjoy some of the most beneficial sports, aquatics. I was able to continue swimming in college. This was me. Swimming for a Division I team as a student athlete, focusing on butterfly, and give all the credit of my success to the very Monrovia pool that's currently closed. It's absolutely heartbreaking to see the current condition, to know the community is without a place to teach water safety to our children, and the local swim team isn't proudly racing on the weekends. The most devastating to me is the hearing about the current Monrovia High School students and the fact that they have to be shuttled elsewhere to compete. Since we didn't maintain our pool for them, I believe serious consideration needs to be given to restore the Monrovia High School pool to a community pool to what it was. Either use Measure K, find another way to restore her to her glory. Now, as a mother myself, I'm upset that we don't have the local swim lessons or the team my daughter could join since she too fell in love with water. We don't have the summer pool to enjoy with our friends and family to cool off in the heat. I'm disappointed we let the pool get to this point, and I truly hope that a joint effort to get our pool up and running so the Monrovia residents can start enjoying our local pool again. Sorry, I'm a little emotional. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Matt Peplu.
Hi, Matt.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for letting me come out tonight. My name is Matt Peplow. I moved into Monrovia in 2013 with my wife right before our daughter was born. She is now a fifth grader at Mayflower Elementary. I grew up in Glendale with my three brothers, and we all learned how to swim at a community pool. And three of us went on to swim at water polo and swimming at Glendale High School. My older brother went on to swim at USC, and that's all because of the community pool we got started. I believe that the ability to swim is the most important thing you can have in Southern California, because every single one of us will, at some point, be at a pool, a lake, or the ocean, and none of us want to be the one kid that doesn't know how to swim. My belief is that the city of Monrovia should have a community swimming pool that offers swimming lessons at a reasonable rate. When we were taking our daughter for lessons, we had to go outside of the area, and the amount that these lessons cost is out of hand. I looked today, and Waterworks is $72 for a 20-minute lesson, and it's unaffordable. Eventually, we found a local family here who was offering swimming lessons in their house, but it literally fills up instantaneously. The demand for swimming in this city is really, really high. And I think that not having a pool open to serve the community is a lost opportunity. Every family in the city of Monrovia should have a place to take their children to learn to swim. On top of swimming lessons, it could also be used for open swim during summer. My friends and I still talk about our time swimming at our community pool 50 years later. In closing, I would like to ask the council to please consider what an asset a pool would be to the city of Monrovia. Thank you for letting me talk.
I have no other speaker cards.
Okay, anyone else wanting to address the city council on items not on our agenda? Come forward, please. I recognize you this time. All
I
right.
didn't wear my hat. Didn't wear the hat this time. I just wanted to, first of all, my name's Ryan Birch. I was here last time thanking you all for some advancement on the mural project, and this time I'm back thanking you again. We did a wonderful event over, not last weekend, was it last week? Yeah. 2 weekends back, Painted Promises, and we're here, Chris and I both, to thank you, to thank the community, and kind of give you a little bit of recap of what was accomplished, and how exciting art is right now for a lot of young people, older folks, and just, I would say, the community as a whole. Chris and I came up with an idea on January 19th, I believe, and we announced it to the city through Facebook, as we do here in Monrovia. We love that Facebook page. And we were looking for a building to hold a art show that would be a charity event for the schools that burned down during the Eaton fires. So we had some outreach. People were coming to us with some great ideas, a lot of volunteer stuff. And eventually the idea came to us of the Santa Fe train station. And what a beautiful place that ended up being. We were able to essentially have almost 500 people come through on this last weekend. We raised up to $10,000 for the schools. And the consensus was, I think there were a few of you that were there, that it was an overall successful event. And we just want to thank you as community people, as advocates for the future, as advocates for art in the future, and as advocates for Monrovia. We really think that what was accomplished is a nice stepping stone for what can happen in the future. And I think it was really, quite honestly, one of the nicest things to see was, you had 21-year-olds that were mixing with 80-year-olds, and they were all having the time of their lives. There was no question as far as what was going on that weekend, and it was good people around good art and good charity. And to see, I'm super proud of the event. I think Chris is too. To see all the volunteers come together, to see that this was a Monrovia event through and through, from Mariana's Tacos to Uncle Frank's Pizza to some of our vendors that were from this town, Pacific Production that came through. It was just an amazing accumulation of what Monrovia can do. And that goes out to all of you for helping us kind of start that. Huge thanks to you, Dylan. Huge thanks, Becky. Mr. Belden, I know you were there as well. All of you for opening your eyes and ears to an idea like this. I know it was probably like, what can we expect from this? And a 3-day event that is a pop-up it's new. It's something that is definitely not territorial here in Monrovia. So it was a new chopping block. USC wrote about it. We had, I think, J-Lo's people were there talking about how seamless of an event it was. So it just really is a huge stepping stone. We're so proud to be a part of it, and we just want to say thank you to you all. So thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much.
Yep.
Really appreciate
It was
that.
very nice.
Yeah, I'll just say, it was super cool seeing the community come together. We kind of put it under this umbrella of the Eaton Fire Care-a-thon, starting with broadcast at KGEM and making that a community space, inviting people to just come share resources. We got a document, which is like a living document, updating every day, I want to say, or every other day, with where you can give, where you can go to volunteer, that type of information. So that was created through it, and I know conversations that took place at KGEM led to other gives and resource centers. So just seeing community come together around art, around helping our community, it was special. So thank you to everybody.
Thank you.
Before I go to, I just wanted to give you a little, we worked with Near Infinity Art, which is a nonprofit that works directly with PTSD and post-traumatic stress victims that are using art to essentially get through their troubles. So it was a great honor to work with them. It was a great honor to work with the city. And I think what's awesome to see is that these type of nonprofits exist, and we can work hand in hand with them and be the fathers, mothers of this kind of advancement in the LA County, especially as that Western wave starts to peel back a little bit, and we see it in this eastern part of San Gabriel Valley. So thank you guys again. Appreciate you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Anyone else wanting to provide public comment on items not on our agenda? Not seeing any, I will close that portion of our meeting and move on then to, we don't have any public hearings. I will move on then to reports of city manager and staff, and Mr. Feek, our CM1.
Thank you, Becky. As part of your packet, you'll have a list of all the council directives. I want to highlight a couple of them. At your next meeting, you'll be reviewing campaign contribution limits. It was previously discussed in December, but we're ready to bring that back for your further discussion and possible direction. Also, there was a discussion in late January about the Community Development Block Grant Program, or CDBG. We've been receiving some notifications from the county, which is the initial recipient of this federal grant dollars, and then they administer directly to the city, that they're anticipating delays with the program and also potential future cuts, all associated with a lot of what's happening in Washington. So we have received previous allocations, and there's some money that we're carrying forward into this current year, but we're just watching very closely on that, particularly, and trying to keep council updated on the CDBG program. I want to highlight a few items that are not on the directives log, but I think are important. In the Monrovia Today, which was recently published, we did have a minor error of a date, which is a pretty important thing. The spring egg hunt is actually held on the 19th of April, which was mistakenly posted as the 12th. We've corrected the online version. We'll correct all of our publications, but on that hard copy of the Monrovia Today, unfortunately, we missed this error. The 12th, however, will be the Old Town bunny photos. So people still have a great reason to come to Old Town and for that holiday. I received a message from Los Angeles County. They are collecting a little bit of cursory information related to Olympics in 2028. A survey was sent out to all 88 cities, and they asked a couple key questions. As we've previously discussed the Olympics, one of the things they asked was, what are some of the key issues for your agency? And based on our past conversations, I shared public safety, transportation, as well as communication and engagement with all of the regional communities are among our top priorities. They're looking to convene a quarterly kind of meeting with not only Olympic Committee in Los Angeles County and City of Los Angeles, but all the different stakeholder cities. And so this was some initial information we provided to them that we expect that in the coming probably months, they'll be reaching out and trying to create some sort of more formal effort to have regional collaboration and communication around the Olympics.
I'm just curious, since Mr. Gibson is our representative there, our city engineer, traffic engineer, and also serving now in his capacity with the Olympics, will he be coming and giving us any updates?
I'm not sure at this time, but I would imagine that there will be a lot of updates provided to the city over the years to come. 3 years,
Yeah.
it seems like we got time to worry about it, but it's going to be coming, it's going to be here faster than you know it.
Especially in the transportation
Yeah.
area, because they're talking about no
Yeah.
parking.
Right now, there's no established process or
crazy.
practice or communication. Right now, they're just collecting some information to decide how to proceed. For the public, I wanted to share that we have officially closed on the 1892 Victorian property at 222 East Cypress. That is now officially owned by the city of Monrovia. And so we'll look forward to sharing further updates with the council and the community in the months to come. Additionally, we've been underway with paperwork related to the Anderson House and the city acquiring the Anderson House for various reasons, as we shared at our last meeting. We've already completed the title report, quitclaim deed is being drafted, and that'll come back to city council. If not your second meeting in March, then in April. One last update I wanted to share is related to Recreation Park. At tomorrow's Development Review Committee meeting, they will be reviewing a categorical exemption for the enhancements and improvements to Rec Park. We feel that it's very justifiable to do a CADX exemption from environmental review. Why this is particularly important is we have been targeting different funding sources for the project. We've even been working with Evan Brooks Associates, who is a grant writer for us, and we feel very strongly that we have a very, very worthwhile project. We're going to be writing a very sizable grant application. This one is just below $8 million. There's an additional grant application coming due for Recreation Park, and we're hoping and very optimistic that we can be very competitive as we continue with work on the final design of Rec Park. We want to try to align that with securing funding to be able to construct the improvements. And we'll certainly provide council updates with that work as we move further along. Those are my updates this evening.
Great. Any questions of?
Yeah, Dylan, what about the county?
The county has appropriates Measure A funding for us. We have not been using any of those Measure A funds, hoping that that the council could have an option to either appropriate them towards Recreation Park or perhaps even Community Center. But we will basically want the council to have full discretion to allocate Measure A funds towards a park project. There are also going to be competitive-based Measure A projects. So in addition to identifying, this is the scope of work we're going to be doing once we begin finalizing some of our construction documents, we'll be seeking a variety of additional funding sources, including from the county.
Okay.
All right. And that Measure A or Prop A, not to be confused with the one that was just passed in November, a half-cent sales tax, totally different. Okay, then, moving on then, we have our RCM2, review of Monrovia Police Department crime data and immigration violations policy. And we have our police chief, Heath Harvey, here this evening to present.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for inviting me tonight to report on crime data. This report is, we collect a lot of data. I had no idea how much data we really collected at the police department, but once we got into this, it was pretty exciting to see all the different ways we could present this to you tonight. And what we've wound up doing is presenting to you data based on accumulation of 6 years. And where we're going to concentrate is calls for service. So we're going to touch base on calls for service in terms of what a call for service is, the types of calls for service, priorities that are assigned to calls for service. And that is actually the majority of the report. What else it shows on this slide is how we report this to the Department of Justice and the FBI. And at the very end, I'll go over a few things that talk about what's coming in the future for MPD, some things that have changed within law enforcement recently, and wrap it up. And hopefully, you're going to have some questions along the way, but I hope that throughout these next 10 slides, I'm able to answer most of your questions. But if I don't, at the end, feel free to ask me whatever you'd like, and we'll try to get through it together. So thank you. One more thing I would like to mention before we start is the tools that we have to collect this data are vast. And we wouldn't have these tools if it wasn't for our city council. So thank you for providing us with the tools needed to do our jobs, providing us with all the equipment that we've asked for, and you have been more than generous in providing us with those things over the years. So I couldn't present this tonight if it wasn't for your help. So thank you very much. Calls for service. Let's start with that. Calls for service are just that. They are calls that come in from the community to our police department that are generated from outside. These calls for service are broken down into a variety of different types. The largest category, as you can see, are non-emergency calls. That's a great thing. Non-emergency calls are calls that come in through our non-emergent lines, the non-911 lines. And they tend to be calls that relate to property crimes, noise complaints, suspicious activity, all things that are important, but non-emergent. And again, as you can tell, that's the largest category. Again, a good thing, and that's what you want to see within your community. Second type of call for service are walk-in calls. Walk-in calls are calls where a citizen comes into our lobby and just wants to talk. Maybe wants to report a lesser type of call or just wants some information, or someone that perhaps stops one of our officers on the street and wants to have a conversation that turns into a call. That call doesn't necessarily have to be a crime. It can be informational, and it could have a number of different reasons for the contact. They typically are theft, fraud, lost property, or informational driven. The third type of call are the 911 calls. And you can see the 911 calls generally stay about the same according to that report. They do fluctuate slightly from year to year, but for the most part, that's flat. The 911 calls come into our dispatch center. The dispatch center is manned, staffed 24 hours a day. Those are the calls that you really want your police department here for. Those are the calls that require immediate response when that call is coming in. Each one of those calls are handled by 1 or 2 dispatchers, where they send out an alert tone to the department. They hear that tone come over the radio, notifying and alerting them that something's going to happen next. Listen for what's coming next on the radio. That call is then verbally broadcast. Every officer that has their radio on in the station in patrol, myself included, hears that call. And officers are assigned, more than one generally, and several respond depending upon that type of call. That's the response you want for 911 calls.
Chief, can you, do you have any idea why 2014 was such a low year for 911 calls?
2014,
2014? Oh, wait,
2020, sorry.
wait a
That's the
second. Oh,
number
you know
of
what?
calls.
I'm not looking.
That's the number of calls.
I'm sorry, that one, it's 2,104 calls, but it's 2023. Why there were?
Just unique. It's unique. No, I wish this year was, or last year was the same. But
Yeah.
as you can see, most of those years are
Right.
right around the same number.
Chief, I want to ask you.
Just briefly, you said that those calls, you get a special ring and everybody can hear.
Yes.
Are they all 911? Are they particular to certain, they have to fit a?
Generally, for that particular case, these are 911 calls. Most 911 calls are going to be emergencies. When you have an emergency, when you need a police officer now, we're taught from a young age, pick up the phone, call 911. When that happens, it's usually just that, an emergency of some sort. Not all 911 calls turn out to be emergencies, which is good.
But what I
most
guess what I'm
don't.
saying, that every 911, do you guys all hear, you were talking about, I'm fascinated by that. I
We
didn't
don't
know
all
that.
hear the call. Dispatch hears that call. One dispatcher is receiving that call. The second dispatcher is listening to that call, inputting that call, while they alert officers as they listen to the call taker. So
But I heard you say that there's a call that you all can hear.
we hear the dispatcher.
We
We hear the dispatcher.
Okay, that's what
Yeah,
I was.
they're the
Got it,
piece between the caller and us.
got it. Yes, thank you.
The key takeaways from this, calls for service represent the community's demand for police response and drive how resources are allocated. Calls for service are also broken down by priorities. This is very important because as a call comes in, it gets prioritized. The higher the priority, the quicker the response should be, and the higher the demand for service. Priority 1 calls are the 911 calls, for the most part. Priority 1 calls are the code 3 lights and sirens, everybody's listening, and multiple officers are responding. We don't want many of those calls. And fortunately for the city of Monrovia and Monrovia PD, that's our smallest category. It seems to stay flat from year to year, and it has historically and still is the smallest type of call that we respond to. Priority 2, these are urgent calls. that could turn into a type of call that is a priority one. We're aware of that, but it doesn't rise to the occasion of being a priority one call. We would rather not roll with lights and sirens throughout the community because it's inherently dangerous. We increase risks, and we only go to those types of calls when needed. A typical priority one call is going to be a medical assist. It's going to be some sort of violent crime in progress, whereas a priority two call could be someone that is in a verbal altercation that could turn physical, but isn't physical yet. So it's prioritized slightly lower. It means that an officer is going to go right now. They're just not going to go with lights and sirens.
Chief, how are the care calls, how are they handled in respect to the different priority levels?
Those are going to be all other, the very bottom category. And I'll tell you exactly why that is here. A priority three call is a delayed response type call. So it's not necessarily that the call itself that is being reported isn't important or rise to an occasion of a priority one or two. It's that the urgency has passed. So a fight has already taken place and is broken up, or a theft has already occurred and is gone. So there's no immediate need to send an officer right now to stop it from occurring. That's considered a priority three. The biggest category we have are the all other calls, which fall into a type of category that are low in priority, generally result in some sort of documentation or advisements that go along with our contacts with the public. And that's where one of our SGV calls would fall into play, and that's a good example of that.
I guess I ask because some of those calls could definitely be life-threatening or urgent.
100%. And if they get to a call, we can use SGV as an example. If they were to, if that team arrived on scene and was handling one of their clients, and that client had an episode, they have been trained, that team has been trained to get on the radio. They know what to say, and that would immediately become a priority one, and we would respond accordingly.
Is that maybe I'm going to look at the right years here, under all other than for 2024, do you think possibly there's an increase in those numbers because of our care, SGV care service?
Our SGV cares would absolutely have increased our overall calls for service. Now, the next screen is going to show you that it's not necessarily where their calls would be categorized, might not be part of calls for service because those are generated from the outside in. Whereas our next screen,
The proactive policing.
our proactive policing. A lot of what SGV Cares does is falls under the proactive policing category. Proactive policing is when calls are initiated by our officers or by our team. And they then start that call from occurring. Those take several different roles, one of which is patrolling, where you see patrol cars in your neighborhoods, patrol cars or officers walking up and down a street. And that is taking place because what we're hoping to have happen is high visibility and community engagement. Another one is directed patrol. Directed patrols could be if we were having, through analyzing some of the data that we collect, we recognize a trend of perhaps vehicle burglaries in a neighborhood, in a shopping center. Well, officers, while conducting proactive policing, would go into that shopping center or that neighborhood and try to create some high visibility or get out of their cars and walk and meet and greet to be a directed patrol. A third type would be a specialty detail. Again, it's proactive policing, and specialty details would be where SGV Care would fall into place.
Chief, I have a question. Where would the Friday night street fair law enforcement fit under those categories?
Specialty detail.
Okay.
Specialty detail. Because it is just that. They're sent out for a specific purpose, specific reason, for a specific duty. Once they get out there, who knows what they're going to run into, but they are targeted. They're doing a particular role. They're not going to roll to a priority one call that's not in their area. They're staying there for that specialty detail. So that's a great example for specialty details. Another one could be the SGV program, where they go out and they have a targeted market, so to speak. They're doing specific things for specific community members for specific reasons.
What about Station Square?
If that would be proactive, if a call hadn't come in for us to respond down there, and that would be more of a directed patrol.
Okay.
Chief, on this one in particular, we see a pretty dramatic increase in 2024 here. Did we change any policies, or were there any directives that were
Oh, but
modified?
The next slide's going to kind of tie that together for you. And ultimately, what happened was this. If you combine both calls for service and proactive policing, what you're going to find is total police activity. And you can see we're relatively flat for most of the years, but as you indicated, last year, we had an uptick in total police activity. And that's not a bad thing. If you just look at it and don't explain it, or if I were to explain it, that looks bad. But when I explain it, what we're actually looking at is what we need to do as a police department is drill down on this. Why? Why did we have so much more police activity? And the reason behind all that is this. If you look at our actual calls for activity, it's trending up. And it's trending up because of proactive policing. That's a good thing. You want your officers to be out being proactive. If they're proactive, that means they have time to be proactive. It also means they're engaging. It means they're trying to do things within their community to stop crime. They're trying to be out being highly visible, doing the right thing before a problem occurs. If you look at the bottom right of this slide, you'll notice that if you take proactive policing out of the equation, crime is trending down. There are some spikes, but overall, over the last 6 years, crime is trending down, all of which is great. The key here is when crime trends down, proactive policing should trend up. If that doesn't happen, there's a concern. We've never had to address that concern. That our officers do that on their own. They want to have time between calls to be proactive. In order to do that, they need to handle calls efficiently. They need to be able to have the tools necessary, which you have provided, to handle calls efficiently and timely, which gives them then the time to go out and do what they want to do. And for lack of a better word, it's kind of hunting. They go out and look for people committing crimes, looking to commit crimes.
I was going to mention, and especially in answer to Mr. Belden's comment, when we joined or came on board with the SGV Care program, the report that was given, it's been a little bit now, but when they gave the report for the activity of SGV Care, Monrovia was at the top, and they were very, very engaged, and so that would, I would think, would definitely lend itself to more calls, especially the proactive policing part of it. And it was, like you said, it was a good thing.
Absolutely. And there's, in a couple slides, you'll see really one of the other reasons why proactive policing has taken off. This next slide, what we're going to talk about real briefly, is how crime is reported at a national level. For the majority of the time that I've been with MPD, we used a system, a national system. You don't have a choice in this. Department of Justice and the FBI tell you how you're going to report crimes and in what method. And that was universal crime reporting, and that is the UCR code. That has been replaced with the National Incident-Based Reporting System, or NIBARS. NIBARS has been around for quite some time, but became mandatory use in 2021. So we started using it at that point in time. NIBARS looks at crime as an incident as opposed to one particular crime for each incident. And what I mean by that is, I'll give you an example. If someone goes into a store and steals something, as they're leaving, you now have a theft. As they're leaving that store, maybe someone tries to stop them. They put their hands on them and they push that person to the ground. Now you have a battery, a theft and a battery, 2 crimes. They run outside, they break into a car and steal the car, you've got a GTA. 3 crimes. As they're leaving, they hit a car and take off. You have a hit and run and a 4th crime. The old system, UCR, would have reported 1 crime. You pick the more severe of the 4, and you report 1. The other 3 are lost. The new system, you report all 4 crimes under 1 incident. So the numbers sometimes, depending upon how you look at them, it could show that we have more crimes occurring than incidents, because 1 incident can have more than 1 crime, which I think is good for it to be reported this way. It's good for us to know the type of crimes that are happening in our community. It's just hard to truly gauge calls for service versus crimes that occur. NIBARS breaks things down into 3 categories: crimes against persons, against property, and against society. And they do that so that they can calculate how crime is really occurring throughout the country. We look at it still, although our reports reflect this, we look at everything on an individual level and don't try to read too much into this. We do this because we have to, and we continue to trend crimes the way we have traditionally done, which works for us because it gives us the ability to analyze our own data and deploy our resources as needed in areas that need attention. One of the things we have to do for NIBARS, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but this just kind of shows how much information we have to have readily available and how much we have to submit on a monthly basis to the federal government. And what I want you to take from the bottom left portion of that slide, which is the arrest report, is you want everything to trend down except arrests. You want more arrests. That we have more arrests. We are arresting more people. We'll get into why that is likely happening here in just a second. The traffic report, although there's a lot of data there, the thing I would like to point out is that very top portion is traffic violations. Those violations are citations that we've written. Citations have dropped off. They've dropped off. That center box on that screen in that slide talks about traffic stops. Traffic stops are not violations. Traffic stops are how many cars we're stopping. We're stopping thousands of cars a year, but we're not citing thousands of cars a year. Our officers use discretion. Our officers go out, they see a violation, they stop a motorist, and they have a conversation. The traffic stop is about education. The traffic stop is about trying to identify a problem and making that problem go away. Doesn't mean we won't write someone a citation if they need a citation. You're going to get a citation if you need one. But we don't want to arbitrarily say, stop someone, cite someone. And officers know that. They use their best judgment to make this decision. And more times than not, they advise someone. And I think that is a good indication of how we interact with people. And it's not, we don't just stop someone for the violation and give them a citation and send them on their way with a negative contact. We try to spend enough time with them to let them know why they need to do the right thing and what they have done caused them to get stopped and to be more careful. The bottom portion of that slide, which is under investigations, I just want to kind of broad stroke what these numbers mean. The top portion indicates active cases. Active cases are going up. That's good. When active cases go up, that means we have workable leads. That means our detectives are working hard and they're hopefully going to find some suspects, get some restitution for victims, and close some good cases. Inactive cases have gone down a little bit, which is not a bad thing. Closed cases are on a rise. When cases are closed, that means they're being solved. We want those to go up. DA rejects. DA rejects are going down. That's a great thing. That means that the district attorney is not rejecting as many of our cases. There's a reason why those cases have been, in my opinion, why those cases have been rejected over the last couple of years. And then DA filings. Those have stayed about the same over the course of those 6 years. That box on the bottom right side, which I don't know if you can see, but I think you have handouts in front of you, talk about 2024 misdemeanor cases. And the one thing I want to point out there are special directives rejects. Those were the directives that the prior district attorney put into place and just said, we are not going to file cases on these particular crimes. It doesn't matter if people commit them or not. We're not going to file them. Well, last year, that district attorney turned away 203 of our cases. These were cases that we filed. That means we had 203 suspects that we knew that we presented to the DA's office, and they said, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to file that crime. But there's good news around the corner for that. Recent impacts to MPD, and not just MPD, but California. Biggest one is Proposition 36. Passing of Proposition 36 really kind of says California has changed the way they're looking at crime. It signifies a major shift in California's approach to theft and drug-related offenses. It gives law enforcement the ability gives us a little more teeth in terms of how we can handle crime and what we can do with that. One of the biggest is increased penalties for theft and drug crimes. It allows for felony charges to be filed for thefts that are under $950 if the person that has created that theft, committed that theft, has 2 prior convictions. That's all it requires. If they've been convicted 2 times prior for theft, the 3rd time, regardless of what they steal, if they get caught, it's a felony. That's not a bad thing. It's going to reduce crime once word gets out. You've got a question?
What's the amount on that 3rd crime?
Doesn't matter,
I can steal a pack of gum and I'm going to prison?
potentially. Not prison. Jail.
Jail.
But yes.
About bad.
If you've been convicted repeatedly,
Twice.
at least twice before, and convicted twice before.
What's the threshold for the other 2?
Well, it doesn't have to be a felony conviction. It could just be a conviction for theft. So there is no.
What would be
threshold.
that threshold for?
Felony is 950, under 950 is a misdemeanor.
And is that count, 2 misdemeanors can
yes,
count?
yes.
You get 3 misdemeanors and
Yes,
you're done?
Yes,
I could steal like $100 one year, $100 next year, and then a pack of gum and I'm going to jail?
yes.
That's ridiculous.
Well, the other problem on the other side is you can steal $950 over and over and over and over in one day, and there's no cumulative, there's no limit.
By all means, I understand we need to figure out a good way, but that sounds ridiculous.
The other thing that goes along with that is that similar for drug charges. If you have been convicted of drug charges 2 prior times, the 3rd time becomes a felony. Another position for Prop 36 is it expands the arrest authority for misdemeanors. Traditionally, law enforcement, in order for us to arrest on site for a misdemeanor, we have to view that misdemeanor. Now, with Prop 36, if we show up and can identify a suspect with good information and know that we have the suspect, and yet it's a misdemeanor, someone having stole $100 worth of something, we can arrest them for that. Prior to this, we would have to get a citizen to do an arrest, or we would have to do a different type of filing on it. It expedites the process and hopefully eliminates them from committing a theft later that day. A 3rd type is aggregation of thefts for felony charges. What that basically means is when you see on TV or social media hordes of people going into a store and all grabbing things and running out, if the accumulation is over $950 from that happening, they all get charged with felonies.
The accumulation of all the individual things that everybody has stolen?
Yes.
So it's treated as it were like almost like a corporation or like a criminal enterprise?
Criminal enterprise would be a good way of
Okay.
explaining that. Yes. There's also an enhanced sentencing component to this, which increases sentences by up to 3 years for theft of property damage crimes committed by groups of 3 or more people. So if people do go in and, I'm sorry, I confused that. Aggregation of theft amounts is where if someone goes in to a store repeatedly and steals, we can use your model again. And if they go in and at some point they reach over that 950 threshold, it all gets accumulated. The enhanced sentencing is the one that if hordes of people go in, it all gets accumulated and can roll into a felony. Apologize for that. There's also a mandate for treatment mandated felonies if they are arrested for certain felonious drug crimes. If they agree to do a state mandated treatment program, that felony can be expunged. But they have to successfully complete the program.
What if somebody's under the influence when they're committing these crimes? Like if they are on drugs and they're committing crimes, does that have any impact on what kind
Which
of
charge? That's up to a
yeah.
DA. They would be charged with both crimes, being under the influence and the crime that they're committing, perhaps because they're under the influence. And then it's up to the DA to decide which course of action they want to take. We just apply the crimes, they handle the other section. And then last is there are mandatory prison sentences for drug trafficking, meaning that if you're caught selling certain drugs and you're convicted of that, the time that you're convicted will be spent in prison, not jail. And that has some bearing on some people doing certain things. The other component on this slide is our new district attorney. He was elected late last year. He's taken a tough stance on public safety. He appreciates public safety. He wants to partner with public safety. He has come in, he believes, at the right time because of Proposition 36. And he believes he's truly emphasizing accountability on both parts. Us doing our job while the DA's office does theirs and holds offenders accountable for their actions. He also believes in a balanced approach. We've had conversations with him. He's actually coming tomorrow to our department and spending some time with us, him and his team. And I'm sure, I've heard him say this before, and I'm sure he's going to share it tomorrow with the rest of our teams. Talks about his hard middle stance, which is he doesn't believe in mass incarceration, but he also believes in holding people accountable. And I think what is going to ultimately happen is in your version of how you explained $100 piece of gum, he's going to take that into account. And he's going to use common sense at some point to try and figure out, we can't put everyone in jail for that because we're talking mass incarceration. He has to be smart about how his agents are applying the law and using the law while still trying to uphold the law. So it's going to be a work in progress. He's done a lot in a very short amount of time. We're excited to see where it goes, but there's going to be some challenges with it, I'm sure, and some hiccups that we'll all learn from.
Are you getting any feedback from especially businesses yet?
We're getting a lot more calls for service from businesses because I think they're starting to call us when they see people running out the door. Whereas I think before, we've been told before, they wouldn't call unless they recognized the person coming in as having stolen from them repeatedly before. It was that bad. So now they are calling and we're responding and we're staying very busy.
Do you advise the merchants not to chase after some of these people?
Always.
Okay.
Most don't listen. But we always tell them not to do that. That's not going to end well. So, yeah. And then lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about immigration enforcement because it's a hot topic. Nothing has changed for us. We've had the same policy that we've had for years. We follow state law, not federal. Your police department does not inquire about immigration status unless it pertains to a criminal investigation that we're currently working on. So we're not going to stop anyone and inquire about immigration. We're going to respond to a call of a theft, and if by chance we have the suspect and we find out that they, at that point when we run a history, it might come back that there's an immigration challenge.
If it's a misdemeanor, do you,
We always run criminal checks on
Okay.
people, always. So
okay, but if you find they have a misdemeanor on their record, then what?
if someone with immigration,
Yes.
we have some leniency there. There's some things we can do. We follow very strict protocol. And what that protocol says is, first and foremost, when we're done with our investigation, we let people go. They're either going to go to jail for our crime or we're going to let them go. We also have the ability to, if we're conducting a criminal investigation, and find out that someone has perhaps re-entered and has some sort of violation against them, not if they aren't, they have to have been deported once before and have re-entered and have some sort of history with them that we find out through a history check. We then have the ability, if we choose to contact proper authorities. And they have to respond before we're done with our investigation. I can tell you, over the time frame of this report, that hasn't happened. So during the time frame that we've captured this information, it just hasn't happened. One of the other things that we follow is civil immigration detainers do not justify for detentions. They just don't. Transfers to Immigration Custom and Enforcement are only permitted under strict legal conditions, one of which I just mentioned as you inquired. And we receive constant training on this, especially if the laws change, which they truly haven't for us. And that link below is our Lexipol policy, which is online. Our entire policy is, including our immigration policy. So it's out there for everyone to see, review, can question us. They're welcome to walk into the station and we can have a discussion. They can stop an officer on the street and we can have a discussion. And we are not treating this any differently than we have over the last 5 or 6 years. The last thing I'd like to leave you with is, because we collect so much data, we have some information that's always available to people, one of which is a weekly watch report, which basically summarizes 7 days of activity within the police department. We average roughly 400 calls for service a week. We don't put all 400 calls into this watch report. We try and pick the ones that are meaningful. And it's a long report, and those reports are available for anyone to view at that link. We also have crime mapping. Crime mapping is a third party that we contract with that has access to our CAD system, our dispatch system, and all calls that we respond to go onto this crime map. They store data for 6 months. You can conduct your own filters of what you want to look for, how long you want to look for areas you want to look for, and they're very efficient. And you can see just about everything. It's not going to give you narrative detail from there, but if you want narrative, you can go back to the weekly report and find it, or you can give us a call, walk in, call on a non-911 line, and we'll be happy to talk to you and try to provide you the information that you want. Something that we are excited about is our dispatch center upgrade. We currently have an analog dispatch center, our radios. We are the last man standing, so to speak, in the area for analog. Everyone else is digital. We've been working on this for several years. All of our handheld radios are digital, but our dispatch center is not. We're in the process of converting that. Hopefully that'll be done by the end of the year. It is, that's a big project for us. It's one we're very excited about. I think you all know a little bit about it, if not a lot about it. You're going to hear more about it upcoming, and we look forward to bringing that to you and completing this. It's a long time coming. And then very lastly is staffing status. The men and women who actually go out and do everything that we've been talking about tonight. We are budgeted and allotted for 50 police officers. We're allowed to overhire by 2. And we also are allotted 34 professional staff. We currently have 48 officers hired, and all 34 professional staff positions are filled. Out of the 48 officers that are hired, we have 2 in training. We have 3 that are recruits, which means they're either in the academy or getting ready to start the academy. In this case, we have 1 in the academy and 2 getting ready to start the academy. And we have 5 officers that are injured, IOD, injured on duty. So out of those 48, we actually have 38 that are performing everything that I just talked about. And that is a big task. And I can't tell you how proud I am of them for the work that they do for our department, for our community. They work tirelessly. And I look forward to getting our IODs back on the job, getting our recruits through the academy and through our training program, and our trainees on the street. We really need 50 officers doing the work that the 38 are doing. And I hope next time when I report back, those numbers will be better. I can give you a snapshot of what it's like to try and hire an officer. In 2024, we had 400 people apply throughout the year through 4 different recruitments. Out of those 400, for police officer, that's just for police officer, we vetted them through a pretty good process. And by the time we were ready to hand out backgrounds, we handed out actually 15 backgrounds out of those 400. We hired 6. So the others didn't pass backgrounds. Of the 6 that we hired, we still have 4. So 2 didn't make it through the academy or through our field training program. So 4 out of 400, it's 1%. The men and women that are working for our department are the top 1%.
Wow.
And we would rather run short with the right people than fully staffed with the wrong. And my promise to you is we will continue to do that. We will run short with the right people than fully staffed with the wrong, because we know the service that's expected of us, the service that you want us to give, and what we want to provide to you. That completes my report. If you have questions, I'll be happy
Questions of
to
the
answer
chief?
them.
Ask, thank you for that report. Thank you so much. I wanted to ask about population and how does that play into the rise of crime? Does that, in terms of, in 2024, have we grown in terms of, as a city? I mean, more
Well, I
people are
think
coming into the city. I would imagine that would have something to do.
Our census, I believe, has grown slightly. It's not to the point to where
good enough.
we need officers because of that. Really, that hasn't taken an effect. The housing that's gone up is really good housing. We aren't spending a great deal of time on calls for service in those new areas. What it does add is congestion. The calls for service that's going to create are traffic-related, maybe things at Station Square when people go out and enjoy that space, and other parts of the community. But for calls for service, no.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Chief, thank you so much for this report, but for all you do and for all the service that all the officers
enjoy it.
in
We
Monrovia
love
do.
doing
I mean, it is exceptional, and I think we all take it for granted in some ways, but it's nice to know. I know, we shouldn't ever, right? I mean, we know when we can pick up the phone, we can expect an officer to arrive timely and just be receptive to listening and just go through so many different messages to even, reduce any potential heightened situations. And I would just really appreciate that because I've lived in some other areas and you hear about it on the news and it's not always the same way. So thank you for all that you do here in Monrovia.
Thank you very
Really
much. We
appreciate
appreciate that.
Chief, I have a question.
Yes.
Is there something that we as a council can do to make your job a little easier at this point?
You already do it. Again, this council and councils before have been very receptive to everything that we've asked for and everything we need. We are one piece of a very big puzzle at the police department. Again, something that makes Monrovia unique. We all work together. We work collectively. Our jobs are different, but they're all important. And we have to be careful about what it is we ask for because other departments within our city need things as well. So we're only going to ask for things that we truly need. And when we do ask for that, or when we do need something, you will all know. And I'm sure you'll do everything you can to provide that for us. But it's a big city with a lot of needs, and as long as we're all understand that, working in the right direction, we're all going to be in a good spot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did have just one more, just a small little question, because it intrigued me, and it does seem like the Prop 36, and I understand the interest and the concern there, and obviously when someone commits a crime, there should be a consequence, right? Don't think any of us disagree there. My understanding is that about typical incarceration on an annual basis, about $100,000 to put somebody in jail or prison in California. It's a huge cost, not something you guys are responsible for, right? But when the DA is looking at potential opportunities there, I mean, we're all going to pay for that. And I have heard that some cities and some communities use diversion programs because there are some indications that a lot of these crimes are probably driven by certain circumstances that people are under in many ways. So just curious if someday you could maybe think about some opportunities there that we should look into and other ways we can help address those concerns of people and maybe get to more of the root cause that's causing some of those rather than just putting somebody in no offense to our jail system, but right now it doesn't seem like it's the most helpful place for
It's
people.
Hey,
Well,
but Chief. A lot of the diversion programs, that comes through the courts, am I right or wrong?
Correct.
Okay.
And diversion is something, like Councilman Spicer mentioned, does come through the courts. Diversion has been around for years. It's had good years and bad years. We got away from it, or the courts got away from it several years ago. And it feels as though 36 is bringing that back to a degree
Right.
with the court-mandated treatments. So hopefully, what we'll see are people that have a need for assistance, but want assistance. And that's truly what it boils down to. It's there for them if they want it, but you
Right.
have to want it. And at some point, someone hits bottom. Hopefully, we're there when they do. And we can provide them with that assistance. And the courts can follow through with it, and they can follow through with getting the diversion, completing the program, and hopefully becoming a better member of society.
Just one follow-up, since Councilmember Spicer did mention, Culver City at least does have a youth diversion program that the city helps coordinate. So there are some cities that do things like that as well.
Okay, perfect.
I understand that, but I'm still going to come back at you. This is Monrovia, and before when Chief the judge that used to be over at Santa Anita Court, over here on Maple Avenue.
Okay.
I can't remember his name, but he used to run the diversion back in the day. But you got to understand, Culver City is a bigger city too. So the diversion programs and things like that, they can afford to do. Whereas with the small city like we are, I think it would be a little bit harder for us to run a complete program.
I did have a couple of questions, though, on the homelessness issue, especially with the institution of Pathway Home. And I didn't ask you this question before, so I don't know what the answer is. But have you found that you are having less interaction with our homeless, especially in our downtown area?
We have constant interaction. I have to think it's somewhat less because that facility is full.
The judge.
We know that initially we had far less because of the sweep that took place. But there are tens of thousands of homeless people in LA County. And they find their way around the county. And we have our fair share of them here. So we do stay busy with them. I think there are fewer, but the ones we have keep us busy.
And this is really commentary, and it really get me going on as they were talking about either intervention, diversion, or whatever it is. In my estimation, and I sit on a lot of boards, commissions, committees, or whatever relating to homelessness, we do not give anywhere near the attention that we need to give to prevention. We're just constantly putting the Band-Aid on the end, and the numbers that I was recently given are actually disgusting and an embarrassment in terms of the number of people that fall into homelessness. And it's just unbelievable. And the estimation was that in 5 years, we were going to reduce that number by a whole whopping 20%. And it's just, I have no words. It's really, really, really sad that we can't put more time and effort into preventing things from happening instead of trying to put that Band-Aid on the end. So that's just me standing on my soapbox, but yeah.
And I was wrong too. Inglewood is smaller than Monrovia. Thank you.
Well, it is, and there used to be.
It sounds bigger.
Yeah.
It does.
There used to be night courts and courts
Yeah.
for homeless and all sorts of things. And so, and until we can really identify what is causing either the mental illness or the substance abuse or the homelessness and all that, and be able to attack those and crime and all those, I just think there really should be some more concentration on that. I love that we do more community policing. That's wonderful, but man, we seem to be treading water and just keep barely keeping our heads above the water and it's sad state of affairs.
This is
So
a
enough-
good
enough-
report.
Thank you.
Yes, can we get this report sent to us? And I hope that we can find a home for it on the website somewhere, or on the police,
CM report?
yeah, somewhere, so that people
Yeah,
can.
absolutely, we can.
Okay,
We'll figure
great.
that out. Thank
Great.
you.
And
Have a
would
good night.
love to hear from you again soon. Wonderful, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
RCM 3 Monrovia Area Partnership, the overview, and we've got Sherry Bermejo.
Uh-oh,
You've been seeing a lot of Sherry this evening.
uh-oh.
Sherry led the conversation and the discussion on our inclusionary housing earlier this evening.
All right. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. This next report is a discussion and overview about the Monrovia Area Partnership. This program has been around for many years, and we have a new neighborhood business services manager. She's been with us for a year. I've been serving as your director for 4 months, and we thought now's a perfect time to take a look at where we were and where we've gone and where we want to go. So,
Sounds like a Dr. Seuss line.
yes. And so I wanted to give first a little bit of history. This history was very important for me to understand the MAP program. And a lot of this history was actually taken from speaking with past employees, current employees, MAP leaders that are still involved today. And so this story about MAP is MAP was actually began out of a city staff effort that started in 2005. It was every city department working together with their staff to initiate this program that was called the Neighborhood Strategy Team. And the purpose of this team was to react to current concerns about neighborhoods in Monrovia that were experiencing maybe blight. These areas were part of our redevelopment planning areas, and the staff went out, they were canvassing the neighborhoods, taking observations, and what they came up with was a list of to-dos to revitalize the neighborhoods. Coming out of this initial observation was they found that the community needed housing revitalization grants, more police patrols in certain neighborhoods that were experiencing street racing, increased code enforcement presence to improve property values, property maintenance issues, enhance street lighting, and ensure that neighborhoods were getting their fair share of improved public work improvements, landscaping, and street improvements. So in 2006, with all this information that was gathered by the neighborhood strategy team, the City Council adopted Monrovia Area Partnership Program. And this slide is highlighting the first Monrovia Today newsletter that's talking about MAP. It was the Neighborhood Revitalization Begins. And the key slogan of this program when it was adopted and then eventually initiated was homeowners and city will work as partners. And MAP was charged with improving the quality of life through activism, through volunteerism, education, and supplying an application of appropriate resources to residents. So here's a picture of our former mayor, Rob Hammond, inviting everyone on the grand opening and initial start of the Monrovia program with the message, catch the Monrovia spirit and join the MAP partnership. So at this kickoff, the initial phase of MAP was the giving out revitalization grants. A lot of these grants focused on property maintenance. But the partnership piece came in, and this was really interesting to me, is as the recipients received these grants, they were also required to participate in code ed classes, participate in at least a volunteer event, become a neighborhood contact point of contact in their community. Here are some examples of the very early improvements that were initiated through the grant program. And then coming out of the grant program, we found, or MAP found, that folks in the neighborhoods were really invested and interested in learning more about city services. And the whole initiative of block parties began, and they were coined with hot dogs, hot links, and hot topics. They were, the block parties were an engagement vehicle that helped provide and disseminate information to the neighborhoods. This, in turn, empowered residents, engaged community pride, and engaged volunteerism. In 2009, the Adult Leadership Academies were implemented, and these academies were focused on really educating the residents about city government and city leadership and public services. The goal of the Academy, Leadership Academies, is today and was and still is to facilitate a program that allows our residents to become informed, inspired, and connected in growing into being municipal leaders. And we do think today, even up to this point, that the Adult Leadership Academy is a very successful program. Several of the council members, our commissioners that are serving today, have gone through this program.
I was a prior iteration. I went through a prior iteration of that program. That was, actually, it was done through the Chamber of Commerce at the time.
Wow, very good.
You have to have a certificate.
Yeah, I did. I've got it somewhere.
But it wasn't nothing like the MAP program.
Somebody needs to check the record.
Very similar, but that was I did graduate from that.
All right.
Nanner.
And then we had the initiation of our annual neighborhood conference. And this is what sets Monrovia apart. One day, we invite the entire community to come out and learn not only about city services, but city resources and other nonprofits that are all contributing to the success of Monrovia. And then last but not least, in 2007, the Youth Leadership Academies were born. Now, initially, the Youth Leadership Academies were focused on engaging youth that were starting to go down the wrong path, to teach them qualities about how they could become leaders. And today, teens still are learning about their own leadership qualities. They are improving their social networking skills through this program. And the benefits of this program is also allowing their participation to be a gateway into the YES program and to city employment. We have several staff members who are now serving in our city as staff members who have gone through both the MAP Leadership and YES Intern program. Okay, so that's a little bit about the history. Now let's talk about the present. And I think it's very important that when we have any program as successful as MAP, is to continue to reflect on it, look at and see what's working, maybe what's not working. The MAP program, like any program, cannot remain the same to stay current. And that's because the needs that MAP, the function of MAP, is always evolving because of the changing community needs. The neighborhood, the early initial neighborhoods that were being targeted have significantly improved today. There's no real neighborhood that's calling for specific attention. The purpose of MAP is also guided by all the participation feedback that's collected. As it continues to evolve, I think what's an important purpose that staff sees is that it will always be about engagement and partnership. And it will always be, staff is going to ensure this, an award-winning program. It is recognized, it's won over 23 awards, both at the state level, the city level, and the county level. And just a couple weeks ago, the Neighborhood Services team submitted 2 additional awards, which we're waiting to hear about, to the Neighborhood USA Conference. And we hope to come back with some good news about those applications. Today, MAP is no longer just a neighborhood program, but a citywide program. Over the years, we have close to 500 participants. We have a budget that, it's our M&O budget of $34,000, and it's really managed by 2 staff members, a program coordinator and administrative assistant. But not only that, we have the MAP program is also connected and partnered with other city staff who help support all of the events that are put on. Today, the key programs continue to be the annual conference, the block parties, the leadership academies, the neighborhood treasures and block parties. We rolled out a new block party trailer initiative. We have Care for Your Neighbor grants and a newsletter. Over the last 4 months, Jocelyn and I have been talking a lot about the enhancement ideas, and we've been asking a lot of questions. We've had intimate conversations with some of our existing MAP leaders, and we believe that there are some initial focus areas or enhancement areas that we would like to tackle, and those areas include how can we improve the MAP EDU program, the leadership academies, and our block party initiative. So with respect to the MAP EDUs, we believe that these should continue to focus on trending topics for the entire community, not just the same recycled topics annually. Some of our enhancement ideas include more focus on mental health, disaster preparedness, public safety, dealing with wildlife, and development, but not so much what type of development is occurring. We would like to offer more hands-on interactive classes on how to get through an ADU application process or how to initiate a district application. We also think it might be beneficial to have these EDU meetings recorded so that folks who aren't able to attend the meetings can watch it online, or a neighbor who went can send it to their neighbor and share the information. And we always think it's really good to continue to incentivize participation. Whenever we bring food out to our MAP EDUs, I mean, pictures will tell you the story. Everyone's going for the food and the information.
I only go for the information.
Adult leadership academies, we believe the adult leadership academies should continue to engage and grow community leaders. Some enhancement ideas that staff is suggesting is we were asking questions about what our classes look like. What are the classes that are most engaging, that run the longest because of the questions we're asked? And they're always really focused on the services the city departments are providing and the resources. So we're thinking about maybe we offer more time to spend with each of the departments so they can learn more about the resources, and maybe we do facility tours. The benefits and goals of that would be so much information is passed through on Facebook. Maybe we engage our leaders to be fact checkers on Instagram and Facebook. They can facilitate the information both online and in person. We also want to train on how to use a block party trailer and start engaging their neighborhoods. And then last but not least, continue to encourage participation and grow our leaders into commissioners and future council members. We think with the the Youth Leadership Academy, there's still more questions. We want to ask more feedback. We want to get a lot more of interdepartmental evaluation. Enhancement ideas include continued partnerships with our Community Services Department that do a wonderful job on working with youth and engaging youth, working alongside our school district and its clubs and partners and other youth service providers, and then also incorporating some of our other programs and how can we put youth on youth, maybe having the Explorers come out to speak to our youth leaders or our cadets, youth commissioners. The goal is still the same goal. We just are enhancing it to keep it current, and that is to build youth leadership and continue to provide that gateway into the YES internship program and youth boards and commissions. One of our new key initiatives this year was the release of the block party trailer. This trailer has now not quite been available for a year. It started in June. We've had the ability to facilitate 5 block parties. And as we've worked through the block party trailer process, we are still learning, we're still enhancing. We still believe that it's a program that can be used to facilitate neighborhood engagement. Residents can sign up to use it, but it also can be successfully used as a partnership with the city and the residents. Staff has ideas of ways we can bring it out to disseminate information on a current project that may be occurring in a neighborhood. It still can work as a way to have a very casual conversation and in the perfect setting to discuss intimate neighborhood stuff. Our team's still working on trying to streamline the application process. We also are looking at ways we can upgrade so that our own city team can bring it out to the neighborhoods ourselves. And we think this block party trailer program is really, really key to continue to get and educate the residents on how to look out for one another and trust one another. And I think with that approach, it will be a very sustainable program. Our team also believes that, the MAP program should continue its partnerships and with other city programming and organizations. That's what makes it successful. So continued participation in our National Night Out, our community service events, Make a Difference Day, facilitating and getting volunteers for CERT and Neighborhood Watch. We want to continue and think about different ways to engage our leaders who've already gone through the academies. How can we keep them engaged and enhance the program? We also want to continue to engage some of the leaders and ask their opinion and get more input on program planning and their ideas for implementation. And so tonight, really, our purpose is to take a look on where we've been, provide an overview of some of staff's ideas for enhancing the program. This is not a one-time, last-time reflection. To make this program to be successful moving forward, I think continued reflection is really important. And we're always welcoming input from our community members, including the MAP leaders, our commissioners and city council, and ongoing conversations with our city departments. Staff is looking at different ideas. We will be talking about future budget discussions in upcoming months, and perhaps even thinking about how we staff to kind of get the most out of our programs that we think would be right for Monrovia. So with that, I'd like to conclude my presentation. I have Jocelyn Blakely with me, our Neighborhood and Business Services Division Manager, and we'd be happy to answer any questions and get any feedback you would like to provide.
Any questions?
I just have a comment. Thank you again. The MAP. I have a picture at my house. I was much skinnier and much younger, right? Sheila was way back in the day for the, I would come for the hot dogs with the Ministerial Association. But I wanted to make a comment. I see a lot of the programs are amazing, amazing programs, but I don't see a whole lot for the youth and keeping the youth engaged, such as the MAP conference. A lot of those topics are, fire prevention or gardening, and, that's not for youth. They're there, but they're there like helping or serving, but they're not engaged. And another thing I would like to see is how do we engage the underserved community or underserved youth that might be struggling, and how do we let them know that this program is for everybody and please come and be a part. And it could be what we offer and what we get, the classes that we get, that we talk about. So just a little bit more for youth,
So,
underserved youth.
great
particularly.
report, Sherry. In there, you talked about the mental health. That helps the underserved. Also, you talked about bringing in the explorers and the other youth from the Fire Academy, which I think is going to be engaging for a lot of the kids. Plus, we've also talked with some of the kids at the high school, the different academy, Massa, the Renaissance, and all of that. So it's going to be a direct connection with the high school, Clifton, Santa Fe, engaging with the youth in the map. You also have the teen advisory, and you have TAP. Oh, well, that's the teen advisory, right?
Well, yeah. Excuse me. I'm thinking of youth committee.
The youth commission.
Oh, yeah, we have youth programs talking
Yeah,
specifically for
so
MAP.
I think,
You get what I'm saying?
I think,
Thank you.
Involve them?
I think
Yeah.
we slowly bring all of this along, as I don't think we can just rush into a new type of program without really just feeling our way through. It's very important when we come out, however we come out, when I go to a MAP conference or a meeting or EDU, I say to myself, man, do I want to spend a couple hours being rushed through, just getting something to eat, hearing somebody speak that I've heard it before? You know what I mean? It's got to be something that's engaging, that's going to make me come out of my home and spend that time there,
Yeah.
That investment into my community. How is that going to look?
Yeah, absolutely. I think where staff is definitely feeling, we're on the same page as the council is, the activities that are presented, they need to be meaningful. They cannot be activities where we're checking the boxes. And I think when they're meaningful and when the investment is not so much in the activity, but the people who are experiencing the activity, that's what will make the program successful.
More pickleball demonstrations.
And good, and better health outcomes.
Give me a pedal.
Have a pickleball tournament at the same time or something.
But you're right, though. The involving community services with that, I believe that's going to add an extra kick for the kids, for the youth. The adults, it's just more, like you say, engaging some of the things that is going to draw them out. And they're not being, and they don't want to feel like they're being rushed. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm glad you do.
I would just like to see, or have everybody know, it's for everyone.
Yes.
It's young and old and in between, and
The
we
whole
need
community.
to get people out. Sometimes it seems like we're throwing a party for ourselves, and get the people out there, because there are really programs of value. I did want to highlight that our MAP area conference is Saturday, April 26th at Second Baptist Church from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So we can start pumping that.
And Dr. Kelly's right, though, that mental health part of it, in which they're going to have that this coming MAP conference.
Our Care Solace program and.
Well, I wasn't talking about mental health on this one. I always talk about that, but I wasn't talking about that in this particular.
No, I was just adding that on myself.
Oh, yeah. I was talking about youth who are having a hard time in this community, who are not coming to these conferences, and how can we get them involved? That's what I'm talking about specifically.
And if you don't mind, I will piggyback off that thought, because I do think it's interesting that we have, the program's great. It does a lot of good things, right? I don't think any of us are dismissing that. It's just that we know it. maybe can even do more, right? Greater things. We're always looking for expansion and just winning that next award for doing outstanding things.
In this case, more is better, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that it's interesting to me that, a lot of these programs started well-intentioned for members in the community that may have needed a little bit more help, right? And a little bit more guidance, maybe if it's youth or just some, and we've steered a little bit away from that. But I am worried, I will say, to Councilmember Kelly's point, that what do we have left still to make sure we haven't forgotten folks that maybe need, an extra program that can help them achieve some greater goals in their life. And I hope we don't lose sight of that. And so I don't know if it's this program, it's great. If it's another program, maybe that's something we think about as well. But I think it's a spot-on comment, and we should think about that as well. Because I think we do have a tendency for wanting everyone to go to these programs, and sometimes they become a program for everybody, which they obviously are, as we mentioned. But we should make sure we also are trying to maybe help and talk to our school members to make sure that there's a child nearby that they know that would really benefit from the program, has a way to get into the program, or is encouraged to go more right? And I love the ideas of the block parties, and I just do think that there's whatever we can come up with, that it's more opportunity for people to be after that MAP partnership training or that academy, that there's just other opportunities for them to check in and coordinate with their own community members, right? And then I think that it's such a valuable program to all of us, and we just need ways to keep getting engaged with each other, right? It's so much more and I want to learn more later on about the Care for Your Neighbor program. So thanks.
Great
It
comment.
seems, Sherry, that MAP Connect was supposed to be a part of that, continuing on with that connection with the MAP leaders. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And so, I'm serving in this capacity for 4 months. I'm still looking at.
That's a long time.
It is. It's like 40 years, but in 4 months. I'm still learning about some of those programs that were started and really kind of delayed and slowed down. And I think both Jocelyn and I are thinking about, okay, was it worth continuing or not? We still need to have those questions and dive into those analysis. But I think where we can really hit a home run are making some enhancements on the programs that we know are working. I think the neighborhood block parties, getting back into those will help staff get to understand and the council and commissions, whoever are participating, who the residents are and what their needs are. Sometimes people share more in intimate settings than in large settings. So I think, bringing the trail out and getting to know the residents is really going to help inform us.
Having more interactive activities
Absolutely.
instead of sitting there listening, like you were saying, sitting and listening.
People want to move. They don't want to sit in a seat
Do
and
a
listen.
DIY, bring out saute, and we'll cook up something, or makers and clay, and we'll.
Yeah, great idea. And
craft stuff.
I hablo español, right?
Ah, yeah.
So maybe we can also
Muy
bring,
poquito.
maybe we can bring some Spanish language
I don't do it very
and
much.
tap into our Spanish-speaking community.
I think originally MAP was started to help specific needs of certain neighborhoods in Monrovia. And MAP should be something now for everybody.
It's
But
supposed to be.
It's supposed to be, but I think the goal and challenge is that MAP should try to fill the needs that are still unmet. For example, youth, mental health, and Spanish-speaking community. And there's more areas out there that still are unmet. So I think that's the challenge.
Okay, well, thank
We are up for that challenge.
Thank you so very much, and y'all hear more about April 26th coming up.
Great
for the,
job.
And we'll have to put our heads together and come up with some great sessions.
understand what you mean.
Okay.
I don't think you open to what I'm-
Moving on, then, we have our
I know you
reports of
just
council,
scared
and I'm
me.
going to start off with Dr. Kelly.
When I listen to you guys. And
Hello.
You guys are just focused on one thing.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
My report, well, I just wanted to, under my report, it has a letter. We don't need another one. We could use the existing letter that I requested at our last meeting. And just to give a little bit of an update, I'm going to call up my Dejas, is it okay to give a little bit of an update on what happened when I presented our position as a city? Is that okay? Can I do that? Is that appropriate? I'm just doing stuff. I want to make sure. Is it? Okay. Well, you don't know what you're doing. What I want to ask Alan, because he's so amazing. He's in the meetings with me. So I wanted you to just kind of give some feedback on what we heard there regarding the pushback of why people weren't for.
Sure. So on Monday at the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments EENR committee, many of the cities who were in attendance shared similar pushback or certain feedback related to Rule 1111 and 1121. Very similar sentiments that the council had expressed at the last meeting. One change that happened between when council met last time and then when the EENR committee met is that the mandate or the change to the rulemaking process, actually AQMD made some revisions to the rule. And so now it's no longer mandated, and they're no longer going to make a mandate on residents. So the residents and business owners, property owners will still have a choice. They are now actually shifting responsibility to the manufacturers and trying to have manufacturers incentivized to provide more zero emission choices. So their targets will still remain on a tiered process between now and 2032, I believe. But now the responsibility is now on manufacturers.
Yeah, my only concern on that was that if they stop manufacturing the natural gas options, then you essentially don't have an option. So it is another way of getting around and creating the electrification of the utility. So that's my bigger objection.
Thank you, Alex. That's my report.
Okay, Mr. Belden.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. Let me find my notes here. Well, just, we did have a couple of great activities recently. The Monrovia Youth Baseball League, it was a great opening day back about 2 Saturdays ago. And great to see many of you out there as well. So thanks for everyone going and joining. Great to see so many kids, a lot of little kids out there getting ready to play some baseball for the season. And the Chamber Gala that I think many of us were attending, and I'll let you all speak on it, but it was a great event and nice to see that so many of us were there together in Monrovia, just Monrovia supporting local businesses and seeing what we can all do together to make our community even better. And I think the only thing I just want to mention is the Clean Power Alliance has a couple of grant programs that are coming and rolling out. I know that our city manager is already looking at them. One is for potential EV chargers in the community area. I think they're looking at some ideas. And then also a new Power Ready program that was something that we can go after for providing solar and backup battery power for one of our facilities. So looking forward to seeing where that goes in the future. I think that's it for my report. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Spicer.
Okay, let's get ready to celebrate. The time has come to start planning for the 2025 Monrovia Days Community Festival. So keep an eye out for more updates as we approach this important anticipated event. Mark your calendars. The parade will take place on Thursday, May the 15th, showcasing the best of our community. The carnival will run from Friday, May 16th through Sunday, May 18th, offering fun for the entire family. We're also calling all businesses. We invite local businesses to contribute to this exciting event. Your donations will ensure we keep this festival affordable and accessible for all. Let's work together to make a difference. Attention all nonprofits. We'll be reaching out soon to partner with you on the ever-popular game booth. This is an excellent opportunity to connect with the community and raise funds for your cause. And to our kids and teens, look out for us at your schools. We'll be spreading the excitement, promoting the festival, and handing out golden wristbands to get you ready for the fun. We're looking forward to celebrating with you and making this year's Monrovia Day unforgettable. Together, let's make it another incredible event for our community. And that's my report.
Thank you. And Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I had the honor of speaking before Monrovia Cub Scout Pack 66. They had a special bridging ceremony. And what I took away most from this event was that the Scouts really prepare future leaders. And I'm going to give a really solid example. I found out that Larry Spicer was a member of the same pack.
Who?
You.
Oh, yeah.
And that's really,
66?
it's Pack 66.
66?
Yeah. And so what they're doing really, in my opinion, is they're preparing people for teamwork and leadership right here in Monrovia. So I found that to be really exciting. I also had the honor of going to the Monrovia Youth Baseball Opening Day ceremony. And what I took away from that was really community, a sense of community that was there. It's not just about baseball. There's some people that say, well, I'm not interested in baseball. I don't have any kids in youth sports. It's really much more than that. You see families together. You see them enjoying delicious funnel cakes and tacos.
I knew it was
Okay.
gonna be funnel cake in
Of course,
there.
I know because I tried them. Well, it's a real sense of community there in Monrovia. Not all the kids are from Monrovia, but here you are. You're in Monrovia. You're a team. It was a wonderful experience, and to see the majority of the city council there, to see our city manager there. So you get so much out of it, even if you don't have any kids in youth sports. And of course, the Monrovia's Chamber had their great awards gala, Elevate, Collaborate, and Innovate. It wasn't just individuals, it was also businesses that were recognized. So you at least 3 events. It's about youth, it's about the business community and leadership. So I came away from these experiences really, really on a big Monrovia spirit high. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Great. Thank you. I knew you were going to get that funnel cake in there.
Of course. I took a picture of it. Are you kidding?
I had the honor this Sunday. I attended the Monrovia High School, the WASC, the Western Association of Schools and Colleges. They had a visit from the, what do you want to call them? They're like inspectors.
Accreditation committee.
And they came and I represented the city council and the city there. And so I wish them luck on their process. I know that their accreditation that is, I believe it's expiring soon here. And I wish them luck on their accreditation process. I think we've all taken part at one time or another going to those interviews. At any rate, so it was an honor and a pleasure to attend. I wanted to point out that on Thursday, Monrovia Reads will have their Read Across Monrovia, and a great event, but I wanted to take the opportunity to also highlight their fundraiser, which will be coming up on May 8th, so all may read, and it will be honoring John Wilson as our Literacy Award, Literacy Legacy Award. I don't know, maybe you got that backwards. But at any rate, a great organization doing great things in Monrovia. And then on Saturday, the Compost Palooza is going to be taking place at our community garden there at Colorado and Magnolia. There's going to be free compost available. You have to bring your own container, and they won't put it in a plastic bag. You have to have it's like a trash can or something to put it in. At any rate, and there's going to be lots of events and things, workshops and raffles. So come on out from 9 to noon on Saturday, the Compost Palooza, and that's done by the food ed people in our community garden group. And then, what else do I have here? Oh, I wanted to mention that our Monrovia Today and Activity Guide are out. They will be arriving in your mailbox soon, but it is available online, so please take a moment to look through that, all the great programming and information, and wanted to promote our wine walk, which is coming up Saturday, April 5th. Tickets are available. If you go into the Monrovia Activity Guide, there's a an ad in there, and you can be connected to the link for tickets on that. And it's always, Tina, we normally sell that out, don't we? Yeah, you can get them at the community center too. But come on out to the Wine Walk. It's a great event and highlights all of our businesses in Old Town. And Tamala brought up, we had gone to the ribbon cutting for the thing in the library. The thing, what is it called? Library of Things. And you can rent these awesome things. What I didn't realize, and I was talking to someone on Friday night at the chamber event, it's not just one thing they've got. They've got like 10 Fender guitars. So you can go and you can look at all these things, and they're multiple tool sets and sewing machines and all sorts of things. And you can go and rent them, and it's awesome. I was thinking you just had one of each. So, hey, they've got lots of things for you to check out. Oh, the telescope, or all sorts of stuff that you can get. Like I said, tools, sewing machines, guitars. It's great. Go and check it out at the library. Okay, and I think I included all my little notes here. So that will do it for our meeting this evening. And we don't have any administrative reports or public input or items pulled from consent calendar. Our next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, March 18th, here in these council chambers at 7:30 p.m. And an adjournment, I want to recognize someone, and I want to thank her family. I mean, you are troopers for sitting through this whole meeting for this. And Gonzo Salgado, longtime resident and retired Los Angeles County Fire Department captain, and very active members in Monrovia Reads. And Gonzo has made many little libraries for us. Just great community member and contributor. And he recently passed, and our hearts and prayers go out to the family and for everything that you and your family has done, and he will be greatly, greatly missed. And thank you again. It's an honor for me to make this adjourn in his memory, and thank you for sitting through our meeting to hear us make that announcement. But at any rate, with that, I am going to adjourn our meeting at 9:40.